What are the differences between IELTS and TOEFL? If you're confused and you don't know which test to take, then this is the video for you. Hey, it's Charlie. Welcome to Organic English. Now, if you come from a non-English speaking country and are looking to study, work or live in an English speaking country, you're probably going to have to sit an English language proficiency test. Now, the two most common and widely accepted tests are IELTS and TOEFL. So, which one should you take? Let's go through some of the differences and some of the similarities in content, format, duration, and scoring, so you can make an informed decision. Now, they both test your ability to comprehend and use the English language. They test the language ability of people who want to study or work where English is used as the language of communication. Now, I want to say from the outset that they're not here to make your life miserable. They're designed to give you and others the confidence in your ability to pursue academic or professional goals in an English-speaking country. Now, both exams do this by testing your ability across all 4 language skills: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Firstly, let's take a look at an overview of both exams, okay? So IELTS is based in the United Kingdom. But don't worry, you can use either British or American spelling. Now, IELTS famously has 2 tracks. It has an academic track, which is for those who want to study at college or university level in an English-speaking country, or for those who want to pursue a professional career in fields like engineering and healthcare. It also has a general track, and this is mainly for students who want to study at the secondary school level or below, and for people who are looking to migrate to an English-speaking country. The academic track includes more graphs, diagrams, illustrations than the general test, but the emphasis is nevertheless on real-world communication skills. Some say that the general track is a little bit easier than the academic track, but if you're in doubt, the academic track is the safe bet. You can take a paper version of the test, or you can do it on a computer. Both of these will be at a test center. Now, TOEFL IBT, is run by a US-based organization, but it's also okay to use British or American spellings. TOEFL only has 1 track, and that tests how well you combine your listening, reading, speaking, and writing skills to perform academic tasks. So you'll encounter high-level material as though you were on a campus in the US. It's suitable for students who want to study at a higher education institution or graduate school, or those who want to study for professional qualifications, such as nursing. Now, many schools will accept scores from either exam, TOEFL and IELTS. They're both widely accepted at undergraduate and graduate schools around the world, and for migration and work purposes. But this is probably the most important consideration for many of you. Some US graduate schools only accept the TOEFL and they won't consider IELTS academic, okay? So if the school that you're interested in doesn't accept the test you take, nothing else matters, right? Both TOEFL and IELTS make it really easy to see which institutions will accept their scores on their websites. Now, I'll put a link to both those sites so you can check for yourself. But also, it's important to check directly with whatever institution you're aiming for. If you got any value out of this video so far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. One more thing that might influence your decision is that the IELTS speaking test is done with a human examiner. So you might be face-to-face with them or on a video call with them. The TOEFL, you just speak to a computer. If you're like me, a little bit shy and susceptible to pressure, this might be a factor that helps you decide which exam to take. So now, let's look into the nitty-gritty and get into the format of the test and how they differ. Now, both exams, like I said, they test the 4 skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. But the exams are set out in a slightly different way. Now, let's compare like for like and look at IELTS academic and the TOEFL IBT. We won't really discuss IELTS general in this situation. Okay, let's look at the listening portion of the exams first. In the IELTS academic, the listening portion will take you 30 minutes. There'll be 40 questions. TOEFL will take you between 41 and 57 minutes, and there'll be between 28 and 39 questions. Now, a common myth is that IELTS is British English and TOEFL is US English. But the fact is that both tests have a range of English accents: North American, British, Australian, and New Zealand accents. And as I mentioned before, both tests will accept British and American spellings. Just remember to keep it consistent. Now, there are 4 parts to the IELTS listening test with 10 questions each. Parts 1 and 2 are in a general English context. Parts 3 and 4 are in an academic context. Parts 1 and 3 involve more than one speaker. Parts 2 and 4 are monologues, so there's only one speaker. Now, there are 2 types of listening items in the TOEFL IBT test: lectures and conversations. Now, both of these use language that you would expect to hear and use at college or university. The test is made up of 3 to 4 lectures with 6 questions each, and 2 to 3 conversations with 2 speakers. And there will be 5 questions per conversation. Okay, let's move on to the reading section now. Okay, so in IELTS Academic, the reading will take 60 minutes with 40 questions. The TOEFL will take 54 to 72 minutes with 30 to 40 questions. In the IELTS Academic reading test, there are 3 passages with about 2,750 words. You'll get various types of questions. The reading texts come from books, journals, magazines, newspapers, websites, and you are not expected to know the subject matter well. You'll be able to answer the questions based on the content of the material you're reading. In the TOEFL, the questions will be multiple choice. Now, TOEFL IBT has 3 or 4 reading passages with a total of about 700 words each. Each passage has 10 multiple choice questions, and as with IELTS, you are not expected to know the subject matter. You'll be able to answer the questions based on the content of what you're reading. Let's move on to the writing test now. In the IELTS Academic, you'll have 60 minutes to complete 2 tasks. In the TOEFL IBT, you'll also have 2 tasks to complete, but you'll have 50 minutes to complete them. Task 1 of the IELTS Academic writing has information presented in a graph, in a chart, in a table, or a diagram. And you have 20 minutes to complete the task, and you need to write a minimum of 150 words. In task 2, you'll be answering a discussion question. Here you'll have 40 minutes, and you'll have to write a minimum of 250 words. Task 2 is worth double the marks of task 1. Keep in mind, if you're doing the paper-based IELTS test, then the answers will be handwritten. So you need to think about whether you prefer to write or you prefer to type your responses. Now, TOEFL IBT Task 1 is quite different. This task is integrated with both the reading and the listening. You have to read a short passage and listen to a short lecture. You then have to write a response based on what you've read and listened to. Task 2 is writing an essay based on your personal experience or opinion on a given topic. You'll have a total of 50 minutes for writing the test. Let's move on to the speaking test. In the IELTS Academic, the speaking will take 11 to 14 minutes, and there are 3 parts to it. In the TOEFL IBT, you have 17 minutes to complete 4 tasks. As I mentioned, the main difference between the 2 tests is that the IELTS speaking test is done with a human examiner, either face-to-face or on a video call. In the TOEFL IBT test, you listen to questions and you then speak your answers into a microphone. The IELTS test may or may not be taken on the same day as the other parts of the test, whereas TOEFL is taken on the same day as the other parts. Now, IELTS speaking has 3 parts. Part 1, you give personal information and discuss everyday subjects. In part 2, you're given a task in which you have 1 minute to prepare your answer. You then have 2 minutes to give your talk, to present your answer. The final part is a discussion with the examiner on a topic that's related to the one in part 2. Now in the TOEFL, in question 1, you need to answer questions based on your own ideas, on your own opinions and experiences. In question 2, just like in the writing test, the speaking test is integrated. You need to listen and speak, or listen, read and speak. Don't worry, you will have time to prepare before you have to reply to each question. Okay, so that's the difference in the formats between the two tests, IELTS and TOEFL. Now let's take a look at the scoring. In IELTS, you're given a band score of between 0 and 9 for each of the skills, and then you're given an average, an overall band score. You can find more information on these bands and their descriptors on the IELTS website. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Now in TOEFL IBT, you're given a score range of 0 to 30 for each skill, and then the scores are added up to give you a total out of 120. Again, their website will give you a more detailed breakdown of the scores of each skills and what they mean. Now, different courses at different levels at universities around the world have specific entry requirements, okay? So be safe, check the score you need with the institution you want to apply to. Both IELTS and TOEFL scores are valid for 2 years from the test date. Even if you haven't made up your mind yet, the good news is that the preparation process is similar for both exams. We'll get into that in another video. I hope that helps. Let me know if I've missed anything or you have any questions. If you get any value out of this video, give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. You can also go to my website at www.organicenglish.club, where I have plenty of other material to help you become more fluent in English. Thank you very much for watching. Now go out and decide which exam you need to take.